Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Daniel and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm just going to be giving you an updated tour of my garden. Last video I showed you how I have kind of two different areas where we're gardening at. The front porch where we have all of our starters and herbs and other things of that, like this cucumber plant that's growing up my screen door. Then I have the backyard where I'm growing almost everything else. I just kind of want to show you how things have been going, what's been working, what has not been working, and why I think it's so awesome to be able to grow a garden in your backyard. To give you some context, I do not have a bunch of acreage in the woods somewhere. I live on a quarter acre in the suburbs, but it's not stopping me from growing just about everything that I want to grow right here with what I have. So before I get started, I just want to remind you that I always show the most unique things that I'm growing at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Now let's dive on into the tour of my garden. So if you remember from the last video, this is the table that we have everything growing on our front porch, and there's really nothing on here anymore. I did a whole video about these little greenhouse containers. This is the only greenhouse container that I'm still using, and this has a lavender plant growing in it. I did have cucumber growing in one as well, and it grew so fast that I replanted it pretty quickly. And then I also tried some strawberry plants, and none of them grew no matter what way I tried to start them. So that was kind of that was sad for me because I really wanted strawberries. But here's the lavender growing very happily. And then the cucumbers, I have obviously this cucumber plant, what's really just for show because it doesn't have a ton of soil. And this, yeah, like I said, we're not trying to do anything with this cucumber plant. It was just kind of fun to have it grow up the front of our house. So here in these small containers is our little herb garden that we keep on the front porch so they're not too scorched by the sun. I know that we have dill, but I'm not really sure what anything else is up here. And then here are our cabbage starters. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that we've had pretty much zero luck with cabbage whatsoever, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by that in a second. So as you come off of our front porch, you can see we have pretty much nothing going on where all of our decorative plants should be. But we do have these two large containers that we thought we would throw cabbage in because we weren't using them for anything else. As you can see, it's all weeded over because we just stopped trying to save this cabbage because a caterpillar got literally everything. I'm trying to figure out how to go about, next year not having to deal with this problem. If you have any tips or tricks, definitely feel free to let me know. But this was the closest to growing cabbage that we got so far, and then it looks like a spider web. So that's everything we're doing on our front porch here. So let's go ahead and make our way to the backyard. So real quick, I just wanted to mention that we live in an HOA, which is super unfortunate, but it is the way the life is. And there's a rule that you can only grow your vegetables in the backyard behind the house, because I guess seeing that food grows out of the dirt is unappealing or something like that. But we've made the most out of it, and we've been using raised garden beds and containers to grow as many fun things as we possibly can, and here are some of them. So as you can see, we have both of our raised garden beds right here in the backyard. We have our compost tumbler where I put all of our kitchen scraps and garden scraps. Then I have the main raised garden bed on higher ground that has our tomatoes, our cucumbers, and our zucchini. And then I do have a tomato plant and some more pepper plants down in the lower one. So let's show you what we have going on down here. So here we have our main tomato garden with the most varieties of tomatoes up here. I'm honestly not 100% sure what all my wife's growing, but I know that we have these pear-like tomatoes, some beefsteak tomatoes as well. These tomatoes will get a little bit bigger than this. And then we also have cherry tomatoes somewhere in here. These pear tomatoes don't turn red. They do turn yellow whenever they're ready to be picked, which is super awesome because they're not as acidic of a tomato. And then I have this trellis that I made myself with all of our cucumber plants vining on top of it. And I have this super awkward shaped cucumber because I found that it was growing on the floor and not hanging, so I made sure to get it hanging so it would grow properly, but it's not gonna get any better. It's gonna stay like that. I did have two whole zucchini plants, and one definitely kind of just rotted away. I'm just gonna let them rot right where it was so that the nutrients can go back into the soil. And then I do have our other zucchini plant that's still alive and doing well, and we've been getting a ton of zucchini from it. Here's a little guy right here with its flower. Let's see, here's another little one right here. Very hard to see, but it's still growing zucchini, and I think it still will for a bit more. But here we have our tomato and our pepper garden. Here's one of our little peppercini plants, which has been growing a ton of these pepperoncinis. I love these Italian pepperoncinis, and I'm so excited to pickle them and can them. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then I have one of my beefsteak tomato plants, which is fallen over. So I'm definitely going to have to secure that back to its post. But you can see I'm getting a bunch of these larger tomatoes, which will be perfect for canning. I'm just going to have to resecure this. Then we have my largest pepper plant, which is a Poblano pepper plant. If I'm saying that wrong, it is what it is. But you can see some Poblano peppers here and here. Honestly, this thing shot up really well. It's a real sturdy plant. And then you can see that this is another one of those beefsteak tomato plants with these huge tomatoes. And I kind of accidentally grew these plants a little bit too close together, because what happened was the soil that I used for this garden came from the old tomato garden, and I didn't even plant these tomato plants that are over here. They just grew and I didn't stop them. Shame on me. But then I have another pepper plant here, which is yet to yield anything. And then I have another jalapeno plant right here. So that's 1, 2 jalapeno plants, 1 poblano, and then 1 pepperoncini plant. So that is our 2 raised garden beds right here. Tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchinis, then tomatoes and peppers. And I definitely need to go into this raised garden bed and organize this a little bit. So since the last video, I have done a lot with my backyard. So this is a whole section of the garden that wasn't here last time, but I'm excited to show you guys. So this is our little patio area, and I put 4 raised garden beds next to the bushes that were growing and mulched everything in. So over here, I took all of those starters that used to be on the front porch, and I brought them back here and gave them a permanent home for them to grow. Over here we have, obviously, it's another tomato plant. I wonder if we've been getting, yeah, we're getting some smaller tomatoes on this tomato plant over here. Very exciting. And then I know we had a ton of pepper plants. I took some of those pepper plants and put them on these raised garden beds so that they'd have a permanent place to kind of stretch out and grow. Over here we have 4 basil plants. 1 basil plant, 2, and then look how awesome these basil plants are. They grow up so high and start to flower. They're really pretty. I don't know why it's so important to make sure that you only have your vegetable garden in the backyard, because so many of these plants that you do use for canning and for eating are really beautiful. Like look at how this cucumber plant's just vining up on this trellis and flowering. I don't know why you wouldn't want to see that, but that's all right, because we get to enjoy it in our backyard. So there are 1, 2, 3 cucumbers and 4 basil plants. Then over here, it's just all more peppers. So there's a jalapeno plant right here. There's another pepperoncini plant in there. And then I'm not sure what the other plants are going to be because we weren't very organized in our original planting. And then in this bed over here, I just put flowers in it because I really wanted to have flowers somewhere in my garden. Now I've already thought about what I want to do next year. I definitely want all of these raised garden beds to be just for peppers or tomatoes or cucumbers or whatever I decide. And then I want these flowers, whenever I do flowers again, to just be dispersed amongst the raised garden beds. So not in the raised garden beds, but around the raised garden beds. So I'm excited, even though this year's not anywhere close to being over. We still have a ton of harvesting and canning to do. I'm already thinking about what I could do next year to be better. So now on to all the stuff that we have in containers. This is my blueberry bush that has yielded me approximately 5 blueberries this year. Congratulations. If you guys have any tips or tricks for growing blueberries or growing blueberry bushes, definitely feel free to let me know. Here is Hernando, my jalapeno plant, which is definitely growing a ton of jalapenos. I mean, this thing is just loaded, and I can't wait to pull those off. We're going to be making some salsas and canning them as well. And then over here, I have this little raised thing that I scrapped together, which I have 2 cabbages in, and they don't seem to be doing very well. I'm cursed with cabbages. Can anybody tell me what the heck I'm doing wrong or what you think might work better? Because I want to grow cabbages. I want to use them to make sauerkraut and coleslaw. So please feel free to comment down below what you do with cabbages that actually works. So I'm about to get to the most interesting things that I'm growing, but before I do, I just want to say that this is such an exciting, rewarding thing to do. If you have just the smallest plot of grass, you can grow so much in small spaces. You'll be surprised just how many tomatoes you get. If you plant a zucchini plant, you will be amazed at how many zucchinis you can grow. And I've seen people grow zucchinis in their front yard, along their sidewalk. You can be as creative as you want to be, and every time you harvest, it's just so exciting to know that you're getting this straight out of your front or your backyard, and that there's no pesticides, and that you did all the hard work to get here. So now I'll show you the most interesting things that I'm growing this year. So this is purely for decoration, but I'm gonna give you a second to guess what this is. Now that you've had a second to guess, this is a forest of papaya trees. I took a papaya that I ate, scraped all the seeds out, and just put them in some dirt. It's literally all I did, and they grew like crazy. I even spilled some on the ground, and they grew all throughout my yard, and I had to pull them out. So this is so many papaya trees. So these are all gonna be little papaya trees. Papayas grow on a tree, right? I'm pretty sure. But then I have one individual one that I'm trying to pay more attention to, and this is my little papaya tree right here. And then my other plant that I'm growing, which I mentioned in the last video, is my mango tree. So I have my mango tree right next to my papaya tree. They're both best friends, and I'm just pretty much just playing around and seeing what I can do. I don't live in a tropical climate whatsoever, so I have no hope that these things will ever produce fruit. But we'll see, maybe one day. If you follow along with the channel, if you subscribe, maybe you'll get to see these things grow up and actually produce fruit. So that's my complete garden tour. I have some herbs growing in the front yard. I do have a cucumber plant on my front patio that's really not doing anything, but it's there for decoration. And then in the backyard, I have tomatoes. I have a ton of variety of peppers. I have a blueberry bush. I have papaya trees and a mango tree, and all my cabbages are dead. But besides that, I have been able to grow a ton of zucchini. I have a ton of tomatoes growing, and I have a ton of peppers growing. And as all of these things are starting to grow and ripen, that means that canning season is right around the corner, and I'm so excited to start making salsas, hot sauces, canning tomatoes, because we use that for our chili. I'm just excited for all the awesome things that are to come in the future, and if you're excited as well, definitely subscribe and stay tuned for future videos. Yes, I do make a ton of videos making wine, but I want to get more into canning and making sauces and other fun things, because the point of this video is to show you that you can do so many things with your own two hands. I want you to be more self-reliant, more sustainable, and that's why I'm Sustainable Dan. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button and subscribe for future videos. I'll see you next time. Peace.